Well, all this week on propertytribes.com, we have been running Landlord Talking Points week, powered by Ideal Flatmate. And my guest this week and co-host is Tom Gatzen, co-founder of Ideal Flatmate. And Tom, I've so been enjoying the week so far, and we've reached now probably what is the biggest talking point for landlords in living memory, certainly since I've been a landlord in 15 years, and that's Section 21. And, the possible abolition of it or abolishment of it. And really, it came like a bolt out of the blue. There were a few hints, but, really the government has really surprised landlords with this.
I mean, it was very interesting talking to you before about how big the topic got on Property Tribes and how much anger there was out there, and I can completely understand that. I just think it feels from a landlord's perspective that it's just one thing after another with this government, and it was almost one announcement too far. And there are a lot of decent landlords out there that have been in the sector for 20-30 years, and things have just got tougher and tougher for them, particularly in recent years. And like you say, this kind of came as a bolt from the blue, and quite understandably has really annoyed a lot of landlords. And there's a lot of posturing around it, I think. There's a lot of it is from a political point of view, that the housing minister at the moment wants to be seen as on the side of renters. The Conservative government has in the past been seen as anti-tenants and kind of pro-landlords. So in their head, they're kind of trying to readjust things slightly. But like you say, it's kind of gone too far, it feels like.
I think it is because, as you said, there has been a kind of pendulum swing towards tenants, but sometimes when the pendulum swings, it goes too far the other way.
Yeah, I guess the point to sort of get across is nothing is kind of finalised yet, and there's still a lot of work to be done. It's a consultation, so I think landlords should make their points clear to the government as part of the consultation. I think that would be the kind of advice from us, and try not to be too sort of aggressive and hostile in it, and just get your point across like you've done, because landlords don't want to be coming across as anti-tenants, and the media will ultimately probably come down on the tenant side, and if landlords are kind of seen as wanting to pick on tenants or kick them out for no reason, it's kind of almost the language around Section 21 is quite puts the landlords already on the back foot in a way.
That's such a good point, Tom, because there has been a lot of rhetoric, and I get very angry when I hear it or read in the papers that landlords kick out tenants for no reason, because clearly landlords want good tenants to stay. So if a landlord is serving a Section 21 notice, there probably is a very legitimate reason to, but I agree with you that the language around it has kind of alienated everybody in the conversation.
Yeah, because if you don't know about what Section 21 is, or if you're not from the sector, you read a headline saying landlords are not going to be able to kick tenants out for no reason. You think, oh, well, of course, why hasn't it been like that forever? And again, you can see why the government are trying to posture and do this. So I think as the landlord groups that are out there, RLA, NLA, other bodies that are campaigning on this issue, do need to be very careful they don't come across as a group of landlords trying to clamp down on tenants, but sensible, reasonable people that are actually just want this option for the worst case scenario, not as something they're going to use continuously. So, but if those points are made properly, I think there's a strong chance of it not coming into effect in the way that's going to penalise landlords. There's also going to be a new government coming soon. If Boris Johnson gets in charge, as we kind of think, I'm sure he's going to put a pretty different team in place to the one that Theresa May had. So there could be a better opportunity to lobby a housing minister that's slightly more on the side of landlords. So there's definitely an opportunity there.
I think there you've touched on, again, uncertainty, and that is one thing that landlords don't like. And certainly when you're trying to plan your business and there's all these things in the pipeline, you don't know what's going to come to fruition. I think that is a deterrent for landlords to expand or even get started in the first place. And I think, all of these changes, perhaps they're just kind of putting landlords into a kind of, hold pattern, waiting to see how it all pans out.
Yeah, and there was interesting stats out recently about 100,000 landlords have left the market in the last 3 years. So you do get the sense that people are kind of fighting the tide, and there's a wall of negativity around it. I guess it's quite hard to stay positive, but I think for the landlords out there that are doing the right thing, that are looking after their tenants, that are maintaining their properties well, that are doing their research, it's a great profession to be a part of, and there's still a great opportunity there. Unfortunately, ministers are just making it that bit more difficult, and I can see why this latest announcement has kind of really irked people as well it should do, but more than kind of recent announcements.
I think what is positive about the Section 21 announcement is how much engagement it created from landlords, and I know that the RLA survey into Section 21 had its biggest ever response in history, and certainly at Property Tribes we've seen massive engagement with our video content and with our discussions. It's a regular trending topic, and in a strange way, Section 21 is so embedded into the sector, and landlords, have used it, hopefully mostly in the right ways. It's brought a lot of people in that perhaps wouldn't really have engaged with the topic, and in a way I think that's actually very positive, because landlords do need to have a voice, they do need to take part in these discussions, they do need to let their MP know, they do need to have a voice at a political level.
100%, and it's about making that case in a sort of sympathetic way as well, so that you're not being seen as the kind of landlords that are just doing it to be against tenants. But like you say, the engagement on the issue has been great, and I'm sure there was a lot of work done on the last kind of big campaign against government change. I think there's a big opportunity with the new government coming in.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it does seem to be a new housing minister every 6 months, but their civil servants are pretty kind of sick of it as well. But yeah, I mean, I always say Ideal Flatmate is make the case, make it a good one, and get a good figurehead kind of leading the campaign, because that's where, I mean, the government is so swayed by the media and what the press are kind of saying, that if the press kind of goes against the landlord community, it could be difficult. I think the Sky News presenter kind of came across quite badly, I think, who's a landlord herself, and I think you've got to be very well briefed on the subject, and don't come across as bitter towards tenants themselves, because tenants have got a lot of issues too. A lot of tenants coming in can't afford a good property, have been kind of shut out of the buying market through no fault of their own. That's just the way the economy's gone. So you should we're all kind of, both sides are struggling in a way, and attacking each other is probably not going to get anywhere. We just need to work with the government and work with ministers to make sure the regulations help both sides.
Yeah, indeed, and I think just as we close out here, Tom, what I would also say is that property is a long-term investment. Probably in the current market conditions, we're talking even longer term than perhaps somebody might have been thinking when they started, even say 5 or 10 years ago. And I think, don't make knee-jerk decisions based on something that hasn't actually come to pass yet. Keep informed, keep taking part in the surveys, keep engaged with the topic, and as you say, we may never lose Section 21, we may see Section 8 completely revised to landlord satisfaction, so a lot to play for, and I don't want any landlord out there to make a knee-jerk reaction to this one issue.
No, and if there are any concerns around that, get in touch with Vanessa and the team on one of the forums, because they know their stuff, so it's a good place to go.
That's what Property Tribes is there for. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, well, that's it for our discussion about Section 21. Tomorrow we will be closing out with a discussion about, is buy-to-let dead? And that again is another trending topic. We're not being negative, we're just looking at the hurdles that landlords have to overcome now to make buy-to-let viable in 2019 in the current kind of market conditions and regulatory landscape. So that's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. But for today, if you have been watching on YouTube, please click to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get all our content, and also push for notifications. And I have to stress that YouTube is just where our videos are hosted. We have a huge, diverse, thriving community, very, very busy, very highly engaged over at propertytribes.com, and we do invite you to pop across there and join us and dive into our discussions there. But thank you for watching, and Tom and I will see you tomorrow for the final instalment of our Landlord Talking Points week.